You mentioned unanimity. Who's the message strongest to? I guess is it the players that you're hoping to hear the message loudest?
Yes, I think so. I've expressed publicly disappointment at the fact that the players haven't come along. Players Association rather than the players have not come on board and given their approval. They'll be back into bargaining next week with our management team and the Players Association, and I would hope that the message that was sent today would be understood, because they're all part of our team and we want them as part of our team, and it's critical. But it's very clear that this is a deal that must proceed.
Your tone in particular over the last 24 hours maybe has taken a stronger stance against the players. Was it a case that you've just lost a bit of patience?
No, even though patience isn't a virtue of mine, no, it was to send a strong message, because I had the strong feedback from our provincial unions that they strongly supported the deal, and so that needed to be conveyed and conveyed publicly. We had a meeting on Zoom last Thursday night where the players presented a counter-proposal. We've replied to that, and I hope that we are sending a strong message.
Is there a deadline for that resolution with the Players Association?
No, there's not a deadline. We'll work through. Silverlake have advised us that they'll be patient as we go through the process. We would hope to be able to reach a resolution with the Players Association, but we have some time to be able to work that through.
And will there be any financial implications because of the delay in that?
No.
So we haven't got a set time frame down yet to meet again with the players. We've agreed, both parties have agreed to for New Zealand Rugby to get through today. We'll be in touch at some stage in the next couple of weeks to set out how that next phase might look like. So I'm sure we'll be letting you all know when that time comes closer, but at this stage there's no set time frame.
Barry Guy from RNZ. I'm unsure of what the process was going to be, but you threw the vote open to a vocal vote. Were you confident? Did you know that you were going to get the widespread support that you did?
Yes, I was confident. We'd had a letter from the Heartland Unions to say that they would all be voting in support, and all of the Bunnings NPC unions indicated they were support, so I was confident enough to go by vote. Had there been one objection, we would have been required to go by ballot. There was none, so I think it was strong that the vote was by voice.
Yeah, the working association with the players, has been pretty good. Are they being greedy?
I'm not going to use those words. I think it comes down to how the money is spent. So, in our view, that the need in the game is for those clubs and communities, teenagers, etc., that I mentioned before. Out of this process, the professional players will be getting pay rises. So there's no issue around the money that we would be offering the Players Association in terms of increase. There are issues around the percentages, as has been published in the past couple of days. But for us, the build-up of the legacy fund, the critical area it has to go to is into that community game, because we want to make sure that we get a return on that investment.
I think that just one build Brent's point there is we believe there's enough opportunity in this deal and the way we've structured it and all the modelling we've done that everyone in the game can benefit, and we're taking a whole of game approach to the way this all works and hangs together. And a lot of it is, interdependent when you look at the way we've structured our modelling and shared that very openly. So we're convinced that this can benefit everyone in the game, and it's an opportunity for real reset, so we can make those investment choices that our team has talked to bring those alive. So no one needs to go backwards here as part of the work we're doing at all. In fact, we only see strong upside for everyone in the game.
So for an investment commercially to grow and the All Blacks to be seen more around the world, that's obviously what they want and you'd like also. So when could that be? You just talk about possibly more games for the All Blacks or whatever. I know we're in a global pandemic, but next year, could we see some significant movement?
No, I think it's really important. We've never said there will be more games for the All Blacks, and it's something we've been clear with, certainly through the consultation phase at all levels, but I've heard the speculation in the media. Private equity investors, from what we are hearing coming into the game, be it CVC or Silverlake, not want to have more and more and more rugby. It is simply a fallacy to suggest that is what their focus is on, and we've never supported that thesis either in terms of what it means for player welfare, which is our number one concern in the game for all of our participants right across the game. So to suggest that it's going to be more and more rugby and playing and travelling circuses and all this thing is just frankly ridiculous. They've got a thesis, I think, which is aligned with ours, is how do we create more premium content, stronger narratives around our competitions, which drive more revenue with the same or potentially less rugby. That is where ultimately we'd like to get to for the game. And some of the work going on internationally at the moment, if you look at what's happening with World Rugby and SANZAR, a lot of consideration has been given how we can utilise the July and the November windows together to build a stronger sense of what that might look like and be able to drive more value out of that. So to suggest it means more and more and more games for any of our players is simply not true.
I wonder if, in layman's terms, could you tell us what the financial outlook would be if this deal didn't go ahead for the union?
Yeah, so we've talked about today our cash reserves, so it's sitting around 68 million. So that's sufficient, but it doesn't provide the impetus to fund all parts of the game. So from a professional sense, we probably could keep going for a period of time, but it doesn't see extra money going back into the community game, which is really why we're looking at some of these other alternatives to accelerate that investment. So we're okay. I don't want people to leave here today thinking we've got a burning platform. We've done well from a financial perspective to manage through COVID, but what we aspire for the game and how we want to transform the sport and invest back into the community, we can't do that on the reserves that we have today. And so we have looked at other vehicles, we've looked at a number of different options, and we believe this is by far the most compelling.
Just to add to that, the financial model for New Zealand Rugby up until now is 11 years of break-even or small loss and 1 year of profit, namely the Lions Tour. So that's unsustainable going forward. So we could amble along, but all of the things that you quite rightly ask us to do around expenditure, we can't do. So it's fundamentally what it comes down to.
Essentially today, over 80% of what we spend goes into the professional game. So it's not a big dividend that's available to invest in the community game, in women's rugby and Māori rugby, all the things that we would like to do. And so what this deal does, it's not just about the capital coming in, really important, it's actually about the capability. So partnering with someone who has that global expertise, because we think the value creation is coming from offshore. The Kiwis already pay a lot of money to be able to support our teams, which is fantastic because it's part of our national identity. But actually we believe that revenue growth is offshore.
Do you have any sort of plan B if the players do veto this investment? Could you look to fund expansion from debt, or are you working with any sort of alternative plan?
No. The answer on debt is simply this. We don't actually have any assets other than our commercial rights. So as a director, I couldn't sign a substantial debt facility because A, I couldn't warrant that it could be repaid, and that's really the critical part. As Nikki said, we've looked at all of the other options, and this is by far the best, not only in terms of the investment in, but the opportunities, particularly offshore, that we can grow that revenue.
And if the players spike the deal, they'll be spiking future rugby consent?
Well, I've made a statement last night about that, and I think it would be a terrible mistake if the players don't eventually support this deal. A really bad mistake for we talk about the community game, but it's the kids running around the field. Go to the Weymouth Rugby Club, where they're really struggling with the kids with no boots, they've got jerseys, struggle to get coaches. I mean, and that's replicated in many parts of New Zealand. So we're trying to solve that as an issue, and this is the plan to do that.
There might be one last question. If no one's finished, we might wrap it up there. We can do some one-on-ones.
Just one question. If the players do veto, is that going to create strain in the relationship? Are they going to face some kind of punishment by New Zealand Rugby? Is someone going to have to pay a price?
Look, the players are an absolutely critical partner in our game. Like they are really central to everything we do. They're a strong part of a lot of the revenue we drive. So we just need to take some time, settle down a little bit, step back from this, and then have another go at sitting down and talking about it. So no, we're not in that space at all. You know, these things happen. You know, there's a lot at stake. The players care deeply about the game. They want to do what they think is the best thing for it as well, and we're trying to do the same thing. So, you know, we will get there. We just need to spend some more time when the time's right to come back and look at the opportunities and try and understand each other's perspectives a little bit more. But, you know, it's really important at the moment that we recognise that as well. Even though there might be bits and pieces of frustration and speculation in public, that they're a true partner, and we want to work on that basis in good faith.